Hi everyone, James here from Akamai. I'm here at ChannelCon in Las Vegas, and I'm talking to interesting characters around the event. So I've run into MattLee. Matt, no introduction is really required, honestly. But I thought, you know what? I'll be picking your brains about some cloud stuff. But also, I'd like to know a bit of your background. You know, to tell me what's your journey been to get here to obviously your current position now. But how's it been? How'd you get there?
My mom and dad met on a sunny evening. No, that's too
sounds beautiful.
I'll fast forward. Sorry, we'll fast forward here. So I started at a break fix technician at an MSP in Wichita, Kansas in 2011, and that company grew over time. You know, from the 1 million to the 3 million and the 5 million, and then we merged with another company and ultimately grew to a very large size as an MSP, and then successfully exited to another much larger now MSP as a result of that.
So always technical roles, right? Has that been that's been the trend?
Yeah, I suppose, in the sense that technical, but also that person that had to go shake the hand and make everything okay around whatever they were dealing with from a pain perspective in technology for the entire company, at least until it got to that stage, you know, we escaped that kind of orbit velocity. I mean, when you get over 28 million, there's enough humans to do everything, right, from a revenue perspective. But yeah, always in technical roles, and really started as an engineer first and driving it from that perspective. And then ultimately moved into director of technology role, where I'm trying to apply technology. I saw a very clear vision for this gap between infrastructural centrism and this identity-centric world of the future, where you have an identity provider and SaaS consumption and SPs, and everything's pretty much just, you know, easy, and it works. It's like signing into Apple and Angry Birds. It just fires up, right? Yeah, but it's always technical.
So many of the MSPs you work with, perhaps in your daily life as a PAX 8, I'm guessing it's mostly sort of SaaS solutions and stuff. But we were having a quick talk about where the infrastructure as a service piece sits and where you see the trend there among MSPs these days.
So I just wrote a book about this, a little self-effacingly. I will say I don't profit from it. It's called the MSP Owner's Handbook, the SaaSSy edition with 2 S's at the end. But what my concept in that book that Juan and I and Wes Spencer and Monty Stockman kind of hammered out was, if I started a company tomorrow, is there any chance I buy a server? And the reality is, unless I'm a code-producing entity, back to what we were talking about around infrastructure as code and all the modern beauty that you can do with these type of cloud solutions for IaaS, right? For bringing up these function as services, platform as service, just the beauty of it, right? But if you're not in that entity and you're an SMB that's consuming that SaaS software, not producing it for the most part, then really it's just identity and then something I sign into. And so the book touches on some of the key components of how I can secure that better. While there's some degree of transference to someone else, it's the same argument someone would put a VM with you or a temporary function or infrastructure as code with you, is that you can do a better job, and I then just choose the settings of the outward protection and a lot of those things than they could ever do in that smaller scale in their own infrastructure, right? That's kind of the argument. And that's been Akamai's jam, right? Like that's kind of the point. So when you think about that and you think about this non-code producing entity SMB, and even into mid-end, I mean, if you look at PAX 8, we're a unicorn now, and we have mostly all cloud services for everything other than the code, right? And so you get into this really interesting world where it's a have and have-nots world separating, right? Where people that are in that world are the fastest and can be flexible and can fail quickly. I opened up today in one of my speeches with a video called How Not to Land an Orbital Rocket Engine. And it's talking about SpaceX showing all these failures they went through, like unplanned, spontaneous disassembly is what they called one of them, right? But it just blew up. And so it's great, but you look, as they iterate through that failure, they get to a point at some point where they get success. And it's all about the company that can fail the fastest, the cheapest, and continue iterating upon that and learning from it. And so when you think about cloud, it allows for a lot of that, right? Like you have tons of the ability to iterate very rapidly. I can say, let's try Dropbox, click. Oh, that wasn't what we really want. We're done. Unclick. Next. And that isn't possible in infrastructure unless you're doing modern things to what you and I were chatting about earlier of infrastructure as code models, hosting in cloud where you have expandability, expansibility, you have all these extra functions and components that allow you to pre-stage something and then push to production, and all of that be code and infrastructure. So anyways,
That's brilliant. So do you see much of that? I'm interested to know, I mean, are there certain MSPs you come across that really are also doing the development work, or do you not see it so much, or where's that trend going?
I've seen it, but I wouldn't put it in a high percentage. But I will say, if you think about this middleware kind of need, and what I mean by that is, okay, now everything's an API to me,
Yes.
Now everything is they're probably going to be writing a lot of code as time goes, or they're going to be buying custom functions that implement a lot of that through other cloud providers. But yeah, I think they don't today. Most of my experience through a lot of this is my work in ZTNA and from a, I guess SME, I don't know how else to describe it, but I do a lot of the training writing from current existing publications for CSA to now the training for people. But really it is from the cybersecurity background and training and education that I've done over time. My CISSP, CCSP, all these things speak about some of these delineations, but not much direct hands-on experience in code production in most MSPs.
Yeah, but certainly a good part. I mean, you got a handle on it straight away. So, I mean, you knew exactly what we're all about within seconds. That was great. Listen, we've been at ChannelCon for this is the day 2 now.
Yeah.
What stood out for you? What's been interesting? What would you say? Obviously, you've done some talks and things. In terms of the talk tracks that you've seen, what have you learned? Anything new from the event? Would you say?
I think one of the interesting parts about CompTIA is the barrier to entry is really just membership for every vendor.
Yeah.
And so what's really cool about the vendors and then all the humans, because of that same nature, there's just a lot of great people here and a lot of great conversations.
It's a lot of fun. It's my favorite event of the year, pretty much.
So I'm getting the old clock from my lovely handler, so I do need to go. But I just wanted to stop by and say hey, and thank y'all for doing what you're doing, and thanks for having me on your thing.
Brilliant. Listen, I'm going to go check out your book, definitely, and thank you so much for sparing some time. I really appreciate it, Matt. All right, take care. All the best.